So we were approached by Vigor about assisting with their pursuit of the ATB Harvest, which is an anhydrous ammonia transfer vessel Vigor was pursuing for Savage Mosaic. The ATB Harvest is a very unique project for the U.S. It's the largest complex chemical transfer barge built in the United States in roughly the last 35 years. The Harvest is a 508-foot long, 96-foot wide barge that carries 22,000 tons of liquefied anhydrous ammonia. Project of that nature requires very complex mechanical systems, including an onboard liquefaction plant. Vigor contacted Kelly about assisting with both the pursuit and eventually the build of the project.
Harvest piping was prefabricated at J.H. Kelly's Longview facility, along with the assembly of electrical components. The piping and electrical components were then shipped to a leased bay on Swan Island, adjacent to Vigor's facilities. Structural steel was received at the Swan Island Bay, where it was assembled into the module frames. The module frames were then outfitted with piping, cable tray, cable, and available components, then were insulated and painted. Once the modules were completed at J.H. Kelly's Swan Island facility, they were transported to Buildway 1 via Vigor's Goldhoffers, where they were assembled onto the deck roughly 8 feet above the ground. Once the installation of the modules is complete in Buildway 1, the finished deck sections are hoisted into place in Buildway 2, atop the finished vessel and roughly 85 feet above ground.
One of the huge successes in the projects and the key folks for J.H. Kelly was Adam Fuller and the 3D modeling effort. So Adam really took this concept that we would scratch on boards and turn it into what initially was the centerline piping rack, and evolved that into this module concept. Matt Gilmore followed up and did a great job with the 3D detailing on the electrical side. So from a perspective on modules, it's 61 modules, but that's 4,000 square feet of grading and 190 tons of iron and 17,000 feet roughly of large bore piping, somewhere in the neighborhood of 90,000 linear feet of cable and 6,500 feet of cable tray, and all these things had to be designed to minimize the impact.
So all of that work got moved from a later in the process point to earlier, and it got moved down to the shop floor. So you guys were working on it 7 feet off the ground, off the concrete, versus 70 and up a stair tower and in the rain. So all of that work got moved effectively left and to a less costly workstation, and we drove it to be more complete. And so we did that in the modules that you guys constructed, and then you saw that happen again in the decks. So we kept the decks down on the ground, and then we painted the whole entire thing. And our painters even, still were pushing back. Well, I don't think we should put the final coat on because it's going to get damaged. And you saw that there was rust bloom on it and stuff like that. But we only had to pull one coat of paint on top of that to take out the rust bloom in places. We wouldn't have painted that boat. We wouldn't have got done with that boat until the end of June or July if we had to paint all of those deck sections in and around rain showers this spring. We wouldn't have gotten it painted. All of that was that same premise. Finish that work earlier.
Because we're able to create modules that had controlled landing points and really lay those out accurately for Vigor, they were able to paint the top deck of the barge and just leave us some weld windows and come back and really touch up around the weld points and then put down final coat. So by Vigor's estimates, it took about 3 to 4 months off the overall project schedule with the ability to paint. Obviously, it's a massive vessel and tough to tint and cover and paint that top deck, particularly in the spring. So huge effort there. Quantifying the cost is difficult because there's a construction cost, but the bigger cost savings, obviously, or the value is to Savage and Mosaic being able to operate the vessel 3 to 4 months earlier than they would have had the module concept not been used.